Of all the top defensive midfielders in the world, the vast majority appear to be extremely tall. Rodri, Busquets, Fabinho, all are approximately 1.9 meters tall, almost as tall as the average NBA player. However, there are some excellent defensive midfielders who are not gifted with height, one of them being Stanislav Lobotka. Lobotka was part of that dynamic Serie A winning Napoli team, and he proved that you do not need to be tall to be a world-class defensive midfielder. You just have to be technically good and be very good at recognizing space. One of the things Lobotka was very effective at was his support play, especially when his centre-backs and goalkeepers had the ball. He occupied the space in the central midfield zone, which is the space between the opposition front line and midfield line, and often achieved the ultimate aim of receiving a forward pass from his centre-backs or goalkeepers in enough space to turn and play forward. The main tactic Lobotka employed was to stand in the space just behind the opposition front line, which we'll call the free elusive space. Notice Lobotka in this clip. Notice how he's standing just behind the front line throughout the duration of this passing sequence, trying to receive a forward pass from the goalkeeper or from the centre back just behind the front line. While in the previous clip he wasn't able to receive that pass, in this situation he was. He breaks their front line and now is in a position to turn and play forward. So why does Lobotka choose to receive the pass in this space? The first thing that's key is that you are elusive. That means that you cannot be seen. The opposition front line will find it difficult to shut those passing lanes into you because you're moving behind them. And the second reason is that because you're so close to the front line, the midfielders behind you are unlikely to want to come and put pressure onto you. Otherwise, if they did, it leaves other players in more space behind them. So this means that if you do receive the ball, you're then able to turn, and then you've got yourself in a good position to then play forward. Let's see another example. To keep an eye on Lobotka, how close he is to the front line, and how he's generated enough space to turn and now play forward. Now, the third reason why it's an effective space to occupy is that by being so close to the front line, you are also in a good position to offer a setback. So imagine, for example, that there was a passing line through into one of the other centre midfielders who are slightly higher up. He's now in a position to offer an immediate setback so that he can then play forward himself. You can observe how Lobotka is just behind the front line here. And as the ball gets played forward, he's in a great position to offer that setback. Now, importantly, before and when Lobotka receives the passes in the central midfield zone, he can be seen scanning frequently to see if he's able to turn when he receives the ball. For example, in this situation here, we can see Lobotka moving closer towards the front line in that free elusive space, and as he's doing so, he scans behind him to see if he has space to turn or not. And as the play develops, he keeps on scanning. Even as the ball is travelling towards him, he notices a defender rushing towards him, and that gives him the indication that it is not possible to turn. And that then allows him to retain possession effectively with a good, safe first touch. So what we've learned is that Lobotka's main tactic to receive those forward passes is to go into that free elusive space, because it's much easier to create a passing line to receive a pass, and because you're so close to the front line, the midfielders are unlikely to put pressure onto you, meaning that you're more likely to have space to turn and play forward. Now, the main problem comes when the defensive midfielder is man-marked. And Lobotka was man-marked in a key game against AC Milan last season. So how did he solve this problem? His solution was to move higher, because that would then allow him to create space to drop in later on to receive a forward pass, or for another teammate to do so. For example, keep your eye on Lobotka here. You can see that as the play develops, the number 90 of AC Milan man marks him. So he decides to move higher and then drops in short to receive that forward pass. And by doing so, gives himself a metre or so to turn and play forward. Again, notice here how Lobotka is man marked. So he starts higher and then drops in short to receive a forward pass later on, giving him space to control the ball safely and to keep Napoli building effectively. In this situation, again, we can see Lobotka marked and moves higher, but instead someone else, another teammate, comes in short to receive that pass. And here is the best clip that shows exactly Lobotka's tactic when being man marked. Note how he's marked by that number 90 again. He moves higher and it creates space for Anguissa to come in to receive. And as the play then develops, he's then got space to drop in and receive a pass. To conclude, Lobotka was phenomenal in his ability to receive those forward passes from his centre-backs and his goalkeeper. And the tactic he's used depended upon whether he was being marked or not. When he wasn't being marked, what he did was he stood just behind the opposition front line to create a forward passing angle, to receive a pass and turn to play forward. However, when he was being marked, he did the opposite. He moved higher up to then create space to drop in later on or for another teammate to do so. I hope the video has been useful and you have a few ideas of how you can receive the ball more often as a defensive midfielder. Until next time, ciao ciao.